Dragon Ball Super Episode 55 and Manga Chapter 15 have brought us a new revelation about the connection between the Gods of Destruction and the Kaioshin, the Supreme Kais, as Whis revealed that the Supreme Kais and the Gods of Destruction are linked via a set. So if the Gods of Destruction die, so do the Kaioshin and vice versa. And this came off a little bit confusing to many people, but I put my thinking cap on, did a little bit of research as I always tend to do, and on this video I'm going to go into this and explain exactly how this is possible and how the God connection actually, well, most likely works. Let's get to the discussion.
I've come back from the future to warn you that if you don't subscribe to Geekdom 101, your future is grim.
Before I get into the more recent revelation, I want to first go back and talk about when the God hierarchy first really expanded a few years ago during the release of Battle of Gods, because I think that needs to be talked about first to get some real clarity, okay? So, when Battle of Gods was coming out, both in the promotional material and in the actual movie, we found out that there are gods of destruction and gods of creation. Now, the word gods was used in plural, but the only god of destruction we've seen so far in the series in one universe is Lord Beerus. Of course, we have Champa over in Universe 6, but it's implied that there is only one god of destruction per universe, or at least that's what we've seen thus far, unless there's maybe some kind of hidden guy who we haven't seen yet. Let's just go with the fact there's only one god of destruction. Now, the gods of creation were revealed to be the Supreme Kais, the Kaioshin, and essentially the gods of creation are there to create planets and stars and civilizations and whatnot. Meanwhile, the gods of destruction's job is to essentially destroy, to bring balance. So, if the god of destruction destroys, it's up to the gods of creation, the Kaioshin, to create new planets to replace the ones that the god of destruction destroyed. Now, we've never actually seen in the series, in the manga or in the anime, a god of creation, a Kaioshin, actually creating a planet, but it's told to us in the movie and by, of course, Toriyama interviews. But without question, that's their job, that is their purpose. Now, about 3 years before the release of Battle of Gods, in the Dragon Ball Super Exciting Guide, which was, like I said, in 2009, Toriyama revealed the existence of the Kaioshin, the demonic Supreme Kais, and pretty much stated that, like the traditional Supreme Kais, they are also born from the same tree, the Shinjin tree, which was talked about in the same interview, but the difference is that they're inherently demonic. They are demonic Kaioshin. Well, that interview was in 2009, 3 years before Battle of Gods, and about, 6 years before Dragon Ball Super began. And since we haven't seen anything, we haven't even heard a peep from Toriyama or anybody in Japan about the Kaioshin whatsoever, with the exception of speculation amongst the fan base. And because we are this deep into Dragon Ball Super and we still haven't even heard a mention of a Kaioshin, I'm pretty sure that at this point, the Kaioshin are just something Toriyama came up with in 2009 and forgot about, and we're never going to see them. Or it's possible that the Kaioshin have been retconned into being the Hakaishin. In other words, the Kaioshin is what Toriyama said back then, and thus the Kaioshin were retconned into being gods of destruction. Now, moving ahead, when we learn more about the history of the Kais, we learn that there are, in at least Universe 7, we know that there were originally 5 Supreme Kais, 4 that guard each quadrant, and I suppose create planets and stars and civilizations in each of the 4 quadrants of the universe, and then, of course, the Grand Supreme Kai, the Dai Kaioshin. And we learn from guidebooks as well as a flashback scene in the anime that Majin Buu killed 4 of the 5 Kais, with the only one being left being Kaioshin, the little purple guy from Dragon Ball Z, the one that essentially becomes Gohan and Goku's buddy, so to speak. And that's all that we know. Now, with the recent revelation that the gods of destruction and the gods of creation, the Kais, are linked, this brings up a few questions. And it can be a bit confusing, but if you think about it, there is a way it could kind of make sense if you use a little bit of critical thinking with, let's be honest, a tiny bit of headcanon, okay? So, here's what I think could be going on. Number one, the simplest answer is, well, Toriyama forgot that there were originally 5 Kaioshin. that seems to be one that many folks are gravitating to because Toriyama has a history of forgetting things, and so it's possible that is the case. But I was thinking a little more deeply about it. The way that I perceive it and the way that it's implied, because the word Kaioshin is not plural. In other words, when Whis says Kaioshin, he's not necessarily speaking about one Kai. He could be talking about many Kais because the word is both singular and plural. It could be possible that the idea is there are more Kaioshin than there are gods of destruction, because the god of destruction is so powerful, so ridiculously strong, way stronger than any of the Kais that we've been introduced to, that it would make sense if the Omni King or whomever governs the universes sanctioned 5 Kais per universe, possibly, again, I'm just thinking here, and possibly one god of destruction to balance everything out, because obviously Beerus by himself could destroy all the Kais. He's just way stronger. A lot of folks have been asking, why the hell is the gods of destruction so much stronger than the gods of creation? Well, maybe this is why, because there's more gods of creation to go around. So that is one thing that I do want to throw in there. I think that what Whis was talking about is that if all the Kais in one universe are killed, not just one Kai, but if all the Kais are killed, then that will completely disrupt the balance of that universe, and thus the god of destruction will also die. And then I suppose what would happen afterward, even though we haven't seen this scenario yet, is that the Omni King or somebody would step in there and replace them. In Dragon Ball Super Manga Chapter 13, Trunks reveals that the Supreme Kai of the future was killed by Dabura before Trunks was able to take out Dabura. And as a result, the God of Destruction of the future timeline is dead. And I think the reason why is because the Supreme Kai that we saw from the Buu arc, both the future and the present, is the last of the Supreme Kai. So it's kind of like a Harry Potter situation with the Horcruxes, okay? My buddy Harrison Fox was talking about this on social media. It's all his idea, but pretty much it seems like all the Supreme Kais have to die, and then the God of Destruction will die. Now that, of course, brings up a secondary kind of side theory I want to talk about. When we found out in Dragon Ball Super, actually it was in an interview before Super even started, it was, again, another Toriyama retcon. We found out that Old Kai was sealed in the Z-Sword by Beerus. This wasn't originally the case when the manga was first being written back in the 90s, but in the interview, Toriyama retconned himself. Now, this, of course, brings up another possible retcon. Could it be possible that the reason why Beerus sealed up Old Kai, well, one of the reasons, is because he knew that as long as Old Kai was alive inside the Z-Sword, maybe he would stay alive as well? Could that be the case here? I think that makes a lot of sense, even though, again, it's just somewhat headcanon-y from me, and I try to avoid making videos with headcanon, but I think if you think about things and apply things correctly, I think it could actually work out that way. I think, you know, if you use critical thinking, you can come up with these kind of connections without sounding too outlandish. And I don't think that sounds too outlandish. So pretty much to wrap up my thoughts on everything, I think that, yes, the connection at first kind of struck me as not making much sense, but I think it is like a Harry Potter thing where if all the Supreme Kais die, then, of course, the God of Destruction will die, and, well, we're all kind of screwed. And, again, the Old Kai theory was just something that popped in my head that I wanted to share with you guys. So I want to get this discussion going here in the Geekdom 101 community. Let me know down below in the comments. And I always say this, but I actually do read your comments, folks. Let me know for sure. What do you think about this theory? Does it make sense? Does it at least make Chapter 13 and Dragon Ball Super TV episode 55 make more sense? I don't know. I mean, I think it helps a little bit. But again, we've also got the Universe 10 Kais. We haven't even seen the Universe 10 God of Destruction, and we've only seen Gowasu and Zamasu from there. So, again, lots of unanswered questions. I just hope that they actually make sense of this as the series progresses, because I really don't want a series to have more and more inconsistencies and retcons. I think that things should make more sense and be more organized. But that's what I have for you today. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely share this video out with the world. Thank you, of course, for supporting Geekdom 101. It really means a lot to me. Share this video out, and if this is the first video you've seen from my channel, definitely subscribe and look through my videos. I promise you, you will find content. If you are a Dragon Ball fan, Star Wars, or movies, you will find content that will please you, because I work my ass off in making sure that I put out the best possible videos I can and think about things before I say them. So, again, thank you as always. Leave your thoughts down below. I will talk to you guys later.